Get into the things that you're doing here locally. Let's talk a little bit about things as you see them with respect to our government and also with respect to our community. Um, what's your thinking? We just had an election here in Michigan on for a Democratic, really it was a Democratic primary for Detroit. For those of you who don't know, Detroit has always been a solid blue community, Democratic community. It's not a Republican community. So whoever wins the Democratic primary will win the seat in this district. Do you agree with that, Stephen?
I think traditionally that has been the case. Yeah, I think that Detroit's blue collar, and it's always going to be blue collar.
Oh,
So,
okay, and that means Democrats.
affectionately a lunch bucket town.
Oh, lunch buck. I like that. I like that word. Okay. So we just had the primary here in Detroit. Um, and now we know who our Democratic candidate will be. What's your thinking about the election process in Detroit? And in Michigan in general, and the country. You can broaden it any way you feel you see fit.
I'm for anybody that gets things moving in this community. This thing has spun out of control for the last 50 years. I just turned 70 years old, and the same problems that I remember as a kid when I was eligible for Vietnam, the same problems Detroit had then, they have now.
What are those problems as you see them?
Poverty,
I agree.
uh, education,
Educate me too. That was right on the poor education.
uh, political leaders that aren't in it for their own personal gain, to get their names on buildings and stuff their pockets full of money with the water department or whatever it is they do. But yeah, I mean, anything to move the city forward. Detroit used to be the arsenal of democracy. There nobody could touch us manufacturing, and now we're just sixth or seventh or eighth down the list. We're not even a player anymore. You know,
I,
so I'm for anyone who moves the agenda forward.
okay, so what do you think should change?
I think what election of Mike Duggan changed a lot of things. I
Okay.
said he was an administrator. He knew how to get things done. He took a failing hospital and turned it into a powerhouse. He everything the guy touches. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's his work ethic. Maybe it's his connections. I don't know. But I think Duggan was a good choice. I think bringing in some of these new folks that are new Americans. I think that's a good idea
Like
because
who?
I don't know the name.
I just what?
He just won the Democratic primary.
Oh,
Didn't
Mr. Cherie.
he? Yeah.
Yeah, who's been here? He's been here. He's been my guest on this
I
show
know, and I've
several
met him
times.
several times.
He's a good friend of mine.
My understanding, he came to this country with a couple bucks in a suitcase.
$20.
Yeah. And now look at him. He's a multimillionaire. He's going into politics. I think those immigrants that come here, although I wish they would come legally.
No, not wish. They have to come leave. They got to come correct to talk to me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not the one. This is not
You
an
know what
open
that
border.
does?
This is not an open country.
Yeah.
No country is.
Well, that
I
ain't
mean,
a country. If
That ain't a country. If you can just stroll in and stroll out.
Guys like him and guys like the Muslims and Hamtramck and stuff, they come to this country and they look at it and,
They come to this country legally. They have a visa.
That's
They come. That's how they're supposed to come.
It's a slap in the face to anyone's ancestors who came here legally, whether you're Mexican or Indian or Arabic or whatever. If somebody came here legally and now they're trying to sneak people across the border, that's just a slap in the face to the whole
No,
thing.
but the president is letting that happen. And let me tell you how close to home that is for me. Half my family is German. They were born in Austria.
Uh-huh.
My aunts and so forth came to this country, married my uncle, my uncles came to this country. They studied the Constitution. They studied for the citizenship exam.
Yep.
My aunt drove with her husband across from Washington, D.C. all the way to San Francisco. Stopped in Detroit, and then they went from Detroit to San Francisco. This is my own family. And she got there and she took the exam at the base there. He was in the military. The wonderful one, starts with a P. It's in Northern California. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world. Anyway, she
Camp
took,
Pendleton?
I think so, right. Up near the Pacific Palisades. That's where the base is. Yeah, that's it. So she studied all this stuff. Now, mind you, English was not her native language. So okay. So she's learned English. She has studied and been able to communicate, read and write, and work in America speaking English. Goes to California with her husband, sits there, tells me how nervous she was the day she took the exam. She took the exam. She missed one question because she didn't understand the interpretation of the word from German to English. One question. She got 99%. She almost got 100. She understood the question, but she didn't understand the language on the paper.
I got you.
I'm so proud of her. And I'm proud of every American, Cherie and everyone else, who has become an American citizen as a result of doing it the right way. This stroll across the border and I'm just going to, I'm just going to squat. This is not just to sit down. And then I'm, as a squatter, an illegal person, I'm going to get free medical. I'm going to get housing assistance.
You're going to let me
Wait a minute,
vote.
let me finish. I'm going to get food, food assistance. I'm going to get food stamps, and I'm going to get a free education. Pardon me? Versus all these people like Cherie and my Aunt Margaret and everyone else who did it the right way and who became American citizens. What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say some of these people come here legally or illegally, and then they talk bad about America. I don't get it. We saved you. If it wasn't for America,
We didn't bring you here with a gun to your head.
That's
You had a
right.
prisoner of war.
there's no other country in the world with a line of people waiting to get in.
Correct.
This is the only one on the planet.
That's correct.
So something's going on here that people want to be part of. And I don't like it when the immigrants come and then 5 years later they start talking bad about America. Go back where you came from if you don't like America.
It's not just that. If you're illegal, you shouldn't be here in the first place.
That's correct.
There is a process for everything. You got to take a test for a driver's license. You just can't say, "Well, I can drive and I can." No. We don't work. Doesn't work that way. And my sister, unfortunately, has been for open borders. She's obviously delusional on this point. But in any event, I tell her, I say, Sharon, Steve, if you believe in this, then why do you have doors to your house? What does that door to that house say? It says you have to be invited in, or you have to have my permission to come in. That's what that. So just eliminate your door. Says you want everything open, then you don't need a door. And that goes for Pelosi and anybody
How
else.
many immigrants living at your house?
Right. Yeah. I mean, that goes for Pelosi or anyone in Congress who has not stood up.
Yeah.
If our citizenship has been significantly devalued, I mean, it is so I can't believe it.
Yeah.
I can't do this in France.
No.
I can't do this in Germany.
No.
How do you do this? And I definitely can't vote, even for dog catcher,
Yeah.
in any country in the world if I'm not a citizen.
No.
Where does this come from? What is wrong with these people?
Well, hanging around at the Ralston building for the last 5 years and being part of this community opened up my eyes to a lot of things. A certain amount of people that come through here are ex-college professors. And I don't want to paint this thing with too broad of a brush, but I think these liberal college professors have distorted all this stuff and polluted the minds of these students they've been teaching for the last 30 or 40 years. They want some sort of utopia that doesn't exist. Maybe when you die and go to heaven, that's some sort of utopia. But you make your own way in this country. You always could. There have been situations that have kept certain people down.
No question about that.
Yeah, I mean, but every immigrant group becomes oppressed when they come here. That's why they live in their own little neighborhoods to take care of each other. you know. So
Well, now they're living on the street and in tents and in this and that. Now, I really was reading yesterday where Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's also Austrian by birth, just like my aunt, um, created this community in L.A. where he housed 100 homeless veterans that were on the street in L.A. in those tiny houses.
Sure.
But at least they have their own place, their own space, their air, heat. You know what I mean? It's a small space,
Sure.
but it's their space.
yeah,
So it is what it is. I mean, so and I applaud him for that. But I'm glad he just didn't do it for homeless in general. He did it for homeless veterans, which was important to me, people who've served our country.
well, our proximity to the 8 Mile Woodward overpass over there, which is like a small little village sometimes, I see a lot of homeless. And they come in here and they squat in the empty houses and things like that. And they're just, homeless is one thing, but when they're actually mean and do vindictive things, like we have a cigarette butt thing out here. They always go through it and get butts, but they never put the lid back on.
Oh.
Okay, so I went out one day and I said, hey, I don't mind you going through the cigarette butt, but put the lid back on. Mm-hmm. And you know what the guy did? Mm-hmm. He gave me the finger, and then he reached into his vest like he had a gun. And I was a ways away from him. I wasn't too worried about it. But I said, see, now I have to call the police on you. Mm-hmm. You know, you just threatened me. Mm-hmm. And I didn't threaten you. I asked you nice to do something.
Right.
Then I was talking to a local politician, and she said, be careful what you do to those homeless people. They have rights. And I said, more rights than the rest of us? And she said, no, but they have rights. I said, okay. Because I see the police clear out the overpass all the time. They get rid of all the
debris,
with their shopping carts and their debris
and their mattresses and all that stuff.
Yeah,
my former sister-in-law is head of the association for Green Acres right there, the neighborhood,
sure.
And she has the police. She said she saw a truck. This is gonna kill you, Steve. Come and deliver a mattress to the underpass. I'm like, you kidding me? Yeah, she said they delivered a mattress to the underpass.
And I guess Detroit is not as bad as some of the cities. You see this stuff on the news. San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Francisco, just unbelievable.
I can't believe their governor. He's just so ridiculous.
They want him to be president.
I know, it's ridiculous. Totally ridiculous.
My understanding is 4 families have run California for the last 50 years anyway. The Pelosi's, the Knutsons.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'll send you a thing called the California Mafia.
Really?
Oh, it's a great thing. It's talking about 4 families have run that state for the last 50 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that. You're the first person to reveal that fact to me.
Yeah.
So we don't have that kind of problem in Detroit, thank God, in terms of homelessness.
That's right.
You know why? It's wonderful because we have 4 seasons, which is the reason I love Michigan.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I like winter, spring, summer, fall. They talk that talk, but I like it.
You know what else we don't have? Hurricanes, earthquakes, forest fires.
No,
we don't have all
we
these
have
things
lots of rain like we did this weekend.
To have
yeah,
rain.
right. We
To
have rivers and lakes.
Yeah.
Nothing's dried up. Everything's overfull, and everything. So it's really wonderful. I mean, I love it. Things go green to brown,
I don't mind
all the
going
bugs
to Florida
die.
for a couple weeks in the wintertime.
I
But
agree.
I come back and can't wait for spring because you know what's going to happen in spring. Snow's
Right.
going to melt. Everything's going to turn
Right.
green.
And it's also more, if you will, I think fuel efficient because I think because we don't have to run so many air conditioners, we don't need as much heat, we don't need things, you know what I mean? But it is what it is. I'm like you. I can be a snowbird, but I love Michigan summers. Like what we have right now, and we can take a little break from winter, but winter isn't anything like it used to be.
I lived in northern Michigan for 18 years.
Oh, really? Where?
By the Mackinac Bridge.
Did you? What did you do up there?
I drove a truck for my uncle's company.
Oh, that was nice of you. And all that snow. It was real snow in those days.
Well, and temperature.
And real ice.
I actually experienced 33 below zero.
Really?
Uh-huh.
What did you, outdoors? You went outdoors?
Oh, yeah.
So what did you wear?
You have to get from one place to the next.
But no, I had to say, what did you wear? Animal skins?
No, you got everybody wears long underwear. They wear long underwear 3 months out, or 3 seasons out of the year up there. It's cold in the summertime at night up north. you know. And the further north you go, I remember spending some time when I was driving a truck in Superior, Wisconsin, and right across the river, which is the Mississippi River, but they don't call it that. They call it the St. Mary's River up there, is Duluth, Minnesota. And it was July or August, and I was getting fuel for my truck, and I said to the guy, does it ever get warm here? And he said, no. It never gets warm here.
I didn't know the Mississippi ran from Minnesota all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico from Minnesota.
You ever hear of the famous Highway 61?
Tell me about it. I know it
Highway
don't.
61.
But before you tell me about
Sure.
Highway 61, we take this station break.
Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Chop It Up with Linda. Attorney Linda Bernard, also Police Commissioner, Detroit Police Commissioner Linda Bernard. You're watching us on WJZZ, Cool TV, the coolest station in the whole world. Please watch us, listen to us, send me some notes, whatever you want to. Subscribe to us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, everything, every social media platform. I look forward to hearing from you. Okay, and our guest today is Mr. Steven Soviak, a man that is a true representative of Detroit. As I said earlier, his shirt says Soup Kitchen Saloon, Jazz, Blues, Spirits, Food. That's Detroit. His right shoulder says Detroit Blues Society. He's a member of that society.
What's the president?
And oh God, okay, the El Presidente. And then the Stonehouse, which is the place where another saloon where the Purple Gang used to hang out. But anyway, you were telling me about.
Well, I was going to say my affiliation for the last 30 or 40 years with blues music. I spent some time in Mississippi. I spent some time in Louisiana, where this music supposedly was born, and probably no doubt about it, it was born down there. And Highway 61 is celebrated in many blues songs. That's supposedly where Robert Johnson made a deal with the devil at the crossroads, and the devil took his guitar and said, if I tune your guitar, you will be the greatest blues man ever, but you owe me your soul now.
And Robert Johnson
was a blues man from the 20s and 30s who died at the age of 27.
Really?
Yep, Robert Johnson. Yep, and it is my opinion, and a lot
Does
of
he have records out?
Oh yeah. He only recorded 33 songs, but those 33 songs are the nucleus of rock and roll. You can trace back his guitar licks to the
Black guy?
Oh yeah,
of course,
yeah.
okay.
And he was quite the womanizer, and supposedly he died because he was hitting on some juke joint man's wife or something, and the guy poisoned him with some illegal whiskey.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the stories in the blues are better than the actual truth. You know? Yeah. Anyway, Highway 61 is where supposedly the crossroads were. The crossroads is where Robert Johnson supposedly made a deal with the devil. That highway goes from Mississippi all the way to the Canadian border, and so does the Mississippi River.
Oh, well, thank you for the history lesson.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, see, I didn't know that. I mean, but for you, Stephen, I would never have known that interesting fact.
Yes.
Now, let's talk a little bit about international affairs.
Okay.
You're Ukrainian.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
And Polish. Ukrainian,
Okay.
Polish.
They're right together. It's like
Yeah.
Ohio and Michigan.
Yep.
Right. What's your take on what's happening now with Poland with their refugee crisis, as well as with respect to Ukraine?
Well, okay, maybe I'm not familiar with the refugee crisis.
Oh,
in
there are about
Poland.
2 million people from Ukraine that have gone into Poland. That volunteer. I mean, the UN is helping them
Okay,
and so forth,
okay.
who are all refugees.
Because I remember hearing that Poland refused to take any of the Middle Eastern refugees.
No, but they are taking the
Yeah,
Ukrainians.
sure. It's right next door. The same thing. And, yeah, well, you know, if what I hear about Putin being sick, and if this is his last
I don't think
hurrah,
he's sick. He just went to Iran
Yeah, okay.
to meet with our enemies about nuclear stuff.
Oh, sure. And Pelosi's
but this is-
poking the Chinese with a sharp stick, too. So.
Now, I don't think that was a poke. I just think I don't know what the purpose of that whole situation was, but the fact that the president, if you will, of Russia, went to Iraq, while the relationships between the United States and Iran are so very, very bad, and Iran went to see the president of Iran, and they have restarted their nuclear program there. They now do have a nuclear bomb capability. Wait a minute, I'm listening very carefully to this because I'm very concerned about national security. But they don't have the ability to put. They don't have the ability to put them on warheads yet. But they've got nuclear power, the kind of nuclear power that you can use for a bomb.
I understand.
And that's why. And Putin went personally. So I don't
If
think
they
he's
don't
that
have
sick.
it, he'll
I
give it
think
to
I
'em.
think that's Western nonsense. I don't think he's sick. I think he's a fake, a 24
Well,
karat
okay,
fake.
like I said, whether that's true or not, he is flexing his muscle. He wants whatever he can get back of the Soviet Union when the Soviet Union collapsed.
The the
All
USSR,
Yeah, all the satellite countries
United
got.
Soviet Socialist Republic, the
Yeah,
USSR.
you can thank Ronald Reagan for that.
Yeah, I like that. He
It's,
said, tear down
he
this wall.
outspent them.
Right.
He
Yeah,
outspent
but even beyond that, the leaders other than Putin were great men and were interested in commerce. And they created the oligarchs
Russia
that
was our ally during the
Yeah.
Second World War.
right, totally.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, they got to Berlin before we did.
Yep.
2 days before we got there.
Yep. Yep.
But and without their help, we would not have won the war. Quite frankly, it was the pressure from the north and the weather that you're so familiar with, since you're used to 33 degrees below zero.
I'm used to it.
33 degrees below zero. That means if you breathe, your breath crystallizes.
My mustache was frozen.
To your face.
Yeah, if I could have snapped it right off.
Yeah.
That's how frozen it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Putin and this whole Ukrainian. Your family is Ukrainian then?
My father's side of the family is Ukrainian. My mother's side was Polish.
Okay. Have you had any contact with the people in Ukraine, with your family in
I
Ukraine?
have not. I have not. My family, when they came to America, when my grandparents came to America, they forgot about the old country. They were just so happy to be
Be in
here.
America.
Yeah, sure. And they spent some time on Ellis Island, and they spent some time in Pennsylvania, and then they got to Detroit. And it was same as any person who immigrates here, was to get a job, a factory job. And that's what they did. My grandmother, my dad's mother had 13 children.
Yep. She was a baby maker.
Yeah,
So was
and
your granddaddy.
They said that at almost all of her adult life, she had a baby in her arms, a baby in her belly, and one tugging on her skirt.
Oh, she worked really hard. I feel so sorry for her. I mean, that was just such a horrible life.
My dad was the youngest of 13.
13 years of pregnancy is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah. My dad was the youngest. He just passed away a couple of years ago. He was 85.
But he had no relationship back with the people in Ukraine.
No, although at the holidays, and they celebrated the Ukrainian calendar, not the Christian calendar, the Orthodox calendar.
Yes.
So all the holidays were 2 weeks after the Christian holidays.
Correct.
So as kids, we got to celebrate Christmas twice.
Oh, that was cool.
December and January.
That was cool.
But yeah, they would go to the house and drink and eat and sing Ukrainian songs.
Oh,
yeah.
that's wonderful.
It was a trip.
My aunts and so forth, we're still in contact with her family there. With her, we all are, and I've contacted them and asked them were there things that they needed because the supply chain had been cut off very early in Europe. Whatever I could send them that they needed that I can buy here, I can pack it and I can send it I can send it to Austria, send it to Germany. They're both in Austria and Germany. So if you were out of anything, it didn't matter what it was. It could be food, it could be deodorant, it could be whatever. Because there's just so many things that are on short supply. I can't do anything about the fuel shortage, but I can do something about other stuff. So I'm on it every week. I'm, what do you need? What do I need to send to Europe? Just let me know. It's on its way. Give me the list.
That's another thing about America. We're the most generous country in the world. We send everybody help. We send our enemies help. If there's an earthquake somewhere,
Right.
our ships are the first ones
Right,
there.
and our presidents go. I mean, Clinton went, down to Haiti and so forth. Bush went, although he's the worst president in history. But he is. They talk about Trump, but not even close. He's an international war criminal. And he initiated a war with a friend that was not an enemy, and totally destabilized the Middle East, created Al-Qaeda, created ISIS, created all this stuff. He's just the worst, by far the worst, in my opinion.
Well, thank God the Bush dynasty is over.
Praise the Lord. That's one of those dynasties. You said there are 4 families that run California, so we'll have to get rid of those too.
Because I think it's over. I don't think the Bushes are gonna.
Oh, I agree with the Bushes, but the ones that are in Cali are the problem.
Well, those are the
And
Pelosi's family's one of them. My
I know.
understanding is her father was low-end mafia when they lived in New Jersey.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
So.
I'm not surprised by any of that. But she is just totally unbelievable.
Time for her to go, I think.
She should have been gone a long time ago.
Right.
She should. It was funny the other night. I was watching. I think it was politically. I still call it politically incorrect, but it's Bill Maher. And he said, "Well, with her new face, she looks so and so. Because she gets a new face every 3 years or so. So yeah. But she went over there. I don't know what the purpose of her. She was only there like 48 hours, right? She flew on Air Force. She flew on an Air Force jet. Yeah.
Well, all politicians, I think, get to fly.
And I don't understand. I don't know why those people can't be free if they want to be free. I don't understand why they let Hong Kong go back like that, because now they're totally oppressed and everything. And people are telling me, like, well, Linda, you don't know Chinese history and how dirty the British were to China and what they did. I said, that has nothing to do with the will of the people today.
Yeah, but the Chinese are flexing their muscle, too.
But I mean, think about it. To be a member of the China, I was watching a special on China, and if you want to go to like a public restroom, you can go to a public restroom. You have to stand in front of a thing. They take your picture because you're videotaped doing everything. You get 5 pieces of squares of toilet paper.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Well, it gets worse. So you get your 5 squares. You go to the bathroom. Let's say your stomach's still, like mine is usually, still upset. 5 minutes later,
I gotcha.
You go back. You can't get any more toilet paper for 20 minutes to get 5 more squares. You have to have your picture taken for this. This is a surveillance society.
I heard if you don't have your smartphone on you, they can put you in jail.
I believe it because
they're
tracking you.
At.
They're tracking you all the time. Who wants to live this way? I mean, although our phones track us, but at least we can put it in a fairway bag. If you really don't want to be tracked, just put it in a fairway bag.
See, in this country, in my understanding, like people say, "Oh, Steve, they're watching us." I go, "So what? Are you doing something illegal?"
Well, but that's how they feel in China.
Yeah, I said, if you're not doing anything illegal,
I have a problem with that because I think a person is entitled to privacy.
Well, I agree. It's in the Constitution.
Well, I just believe in that. I mean, I really do believe.
I believe, or Sixth Amendment.
Yeah, but I don't believe in the invasion, constant invasion. I don't believe in a surveillance society, and I don't believe in the invasion of privacy.
I don't know if who embraced it first, the government or the advertisers, the corporations.
Yeah, because now you're getting all these texts and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. I got to get my fairway bag. I'm going to order one today because you put your phone in a bag, zip it up.
Sure. Anything electronic you want to save. Yeah,
right.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So you liked in Detroit. You liked the Duggan administration. So do I. I refer to him, Steve, as the best CEO Detroit has had. He's an excellent, and I say that because I've served as a CEO. I've been a chief executive officer and headed legal services and took it from $2 million to $10 million and all kinds of stuff to 50,000 people every year. I understand there's a dynamic to leadership and there's a dynamic to administration, and I've been to the Harvard Business School and all that stuff. Unbelievable. But anyway, there's a dynamic to leadership and to management and to administration, and he has that. And I agree with you 100%. And you said that the things that need to get done in Detroit relate to poverty, education, and political leaders who are not out for their own personal gain. And that you like the Cherie and you like the influx of new people.
Fresh ideas, fresh blood, yeah.
Not only that, I don't know why people dog him for spending his own money on himself. I like the fact that he's independent, that he's not beholden to this PAC and that PAC. That guy, Ollier, had $5 million from PACs. He could never represent us. He can only represent the PACs that gave him all that money.
Remember that money I gave you? Now here's what I want.
Yeah. You better walk, as my mama would say, because she's from Mississippi. You better walk the chalk line. This is the line, and you better walk it.
Yeah.
Because I own you. He's
nothing more. We can break you.
Nothing more than a slave, a total slave. Yeah. He just yes, Mr. Charlie. So I'm so happy that Cherie won. I sent him a text message. I said we have to break bread together now.
So a very nice man too.
Yes, he is. He is, and his wife is too. They're very, 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 Very nice family. Okay, let's talk about race in Detroit.
Okay.
As a longtime Detroiter and as a white male, I think I did my station break. I'm okay. No, I didn't. Again, this is WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. So tune in, watch, chop it up with Linda. I am Linda, Attorney Linda Bernard, also Police Commissioner Linda Bernard, and of course my guest. My guest is Mr. C. Steven Soviak, a Ukrainian by heritage, a Detroiter by birth, a Michigander by birth, who knows this country from the Mississippi, which starts in Canada, down to Louisiana, where it flows into the Gulf right there. Mm-hmm. Okay, back to race in Detroit. What's your thinking about what's happening in Detroit in generally in terms of race relations?
I've been saying it for years. I'm proud of the race situation in this town. We didn't have the riots they had in Seattle and Portland and stuff like that. Now, granted, that wasn't race related as much as it was snotty-nosed white kids that thought they were privileged. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But anyway, I'll just give you an idea here. A couple of years ago, there was an incident at 6 Mile and Woodward, or 6 Mile and Livernois or something. The police shot some guy. And there's a lot of young black men hang out here because we have a rap studio in this building. And the one kid came and he was mad. He was going to go down there and start fighting. And I said to him, hey, will you do me a favor? I said, the police commissioner, the police chief is going to get on the television here in a second and tell us what happened. Can we wait? I'll be the first one to tell you to go raise hell if that is what you want to do. If this was done illegally or the guy didn't have it coming and he was shot and killed. Let's see what the police chief says. We got on the computer. We went to Fox News. We saw a police chief say...
James Craig,
one of my heroes. Yeah,
me too.
Between Doug and James Craig and the prosecutor. What's her name?
Kim Worthy.
Oh, my God. What a dynamic team we got there. Anyway, the chief gets on there, and he has a video. He says, the guy drew on the police.
You could see it clearly.
Yeah.
And fired.
And they had to do what they had to do. So I said to him, are you still mad? He goes, no. I said...
Get
smart.
the facts.
You're smart.
What you'd urge him to do was get the facts. Don't be emotional. Wait. A
lot of bad stuff happens when you don't have the facts.
That's correct. Right. Well, that was really cool, and I agree with you.
And we're buds to this day. We have respect for each other because I what I did was I kind of used my age and
your
experience.
Maturity. Yeah.
And he was just mad. He was going to go cause trouble. Because he said another young black man died. I said, let's see what happened first, okay? And even he said he drew on the cops, and they had to do what they had to do. So I'm proud of the relationships. I know I experienced the '67 riots. My father was a policeman, and he was a Wayne County sheriff for 33 years, and I got to see it, firsthand, and I have the funny feeling any Detroiter who remembers that says, we ain't doing this again.
No, we're not going to burn down Detroit.
So let's be calm.
We're not going to do that.
And try to get along with each other.
Right. Take it one step at a time.
Right. And I'll say it, too. I grew up in Dearborn Heights, Michigan. There were no black kids in the school. There was some Arab kids in the school. And I had no experience with black people until I got out of school. And then I go, what's the problem here? I said, okay.
Good people, good food, good music, good everything.
Great music, absolutely. And then a couple buddies of mine were in Vietnam, and they said, we never hung out at the white clubs. We hung out at the black clubs in Vietnam.
You were in Vietnam too?
No, I didn't have to go. I always say I was too young for Woodstock and too old for Vietnam.
Okay.
So anyway, they said the white clubs sucked. The black clubs were fun. Mm-hmm. Everybody danced. Everybody had good stories and good music and everything else. And we had more fun there. And I said, like I said a minute ago, what's the problem here? I don't get it. You know, I just don't get it. These are nice people for the most part. I used to go, my friend, when we started our music business in 1974, one of our favorite things to do was go into the black communities and look for the black churches that were selling barbecue.
Me, I bought barbecue from a black guy yesterday.
Yeah,
On the street.
we used to go in and pull in the parking lot.
Yep.
First of all, my friend was Arabic,
Mm-hmm.
and I was Polish and Ukrainian white guy. But we would go right up there, and the black ladies who run in the church. And I said, what are you afraid of? A bunch of old black ladies? I said, and the fact that we did it, and plus on top of it, you get some chicken and some ribs and peach cobbler and some dirty rice or whatever for $7.50.
You know exactly what you're talking
Yeah.
about. You know exactly what you're talking about.
So that was our favorite thing to do.
So you've been involved with the Detroit Blues Society, which started when, and then.
Well, the Blues Society started in '85, my understanding. But when I lived in northern Michigan, I came back when my father got sick. I had to take care of him for a little while, and he was out of it. He would stare at a television show, and I go, "What are you watching?" He goes, "I don't know." And so I was bored, so I got back involved. But in 2002. Oh, I'm sorry, 1999, I got involved with a group of people in northern Michigan that put on concerts. And they asked me if I would get on the board. And I said, I've never been on a board before. So I got on their board, and we started, it is very, very funny. They put on a blues festival in northern Michigan. And I stood on top of the hill, and I watched for 7 hours. And the executive director walked up to me and said, "What'd you think?" And I go, "It's the most amazing thing I ever saw." And they go, "What?" I said, "I just watched 7 hours of blues with not one black person on the stage." I said, how did you do this? She goes, "We don't have any black people up here." I said, "Well, we got to fix that." And not that I'm going to move black people to northern Michigan. I went and got some artists from other parts
to
of
drive
the state,
on up and perform.
Muskegon, I met Big Daddy Fox and Larry McRae in Saginaw. And I asked them to come up, and they were more than happy to. Number one, it was a new place to work.
Not only that, the audience was enthusiastic.
And then I said I had some money. I had a house to live in for free. I got a really good salary. So at the end of the year, when I got my bonus, which was $3,500, $4,500, depending on how long we worked that year, I would put that money up to bring in some authentic blues players.
Okay.
We had Cephas and Wiggins up north, which were Grammy award-winning Piedmont blues artists from the Carolinas.
Okay.
Okay, because there's various regions of
Yes,
blues.
that's absolutely true.
And then I got Honey Boy Edwards, who was friends with Robert Johnson. He was 83 when we got him, and we had to fly him out of Chicago and put him up in a hotel. And I will tell you a funny story. The people at the radio station said to me, "How are we going to know who this man is at the Cherry Capital Airport in Traverse City?" I said, "Old black man with a guitar
only black
case."
man, the only black man, right? Who do you think is going to be up here, right?
And he said, "I'll put a sign up that says Honey Boy." And I said, I bet my life he wouldn't be able to read it. Mm-hmm. And they go, "Well, that's a racist thing to say." I go, "No, it isn't." I said, "These blues guys didn't care about reading and writing. They cared about women and whiskey and getting out of the fields where they were working. They wanted to have
and they wanted to play.
They wanted to have
they
a
wanted
life.
To have music, exactly. Music was their life.
And so one of the ladies from the radio station picked up Honey Boy. David Edwards is his name. David Honey Boy Edwards. Picked him up at the airport, took him to the golf resort down the street from the festival venue, and he went to register, and the lady at the desk said, "Can you fill out this card?" And he didn't say anything. Mm-hmm. And she knew right away.
That was
she
good.
said, "Mr. Edwards, do you have any identification?" And he goes, "Yes." And she filled it out. She said, "I'll fill this out for you. You make a mark right here for me." And he did. He wasn't embarrassed. He wasn't.
He shouldn't be.
He wasn't.
He shouldn't be. It wasn't his fault.
His entire life he went through without being able to read or write.
Without an education, because the society did not allow it for him. Right.
He told me, I got to drive him back to Traverse City after the festival's over. And he told me, he said, "Things were so bad in Mississippi. You heard of riding the rails?" And I said, "That's when you jump on a train and take it somewhere?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "We did riding the rods." And I said, "What's that?" He goes, "You got underneath the train and hung on to the.
Oh, don't tell me. You're making my heart.
And he said my head was this far from the tracks, and I just hanged on for dear life.
I
Because
never
that's what
heard
we
of
used
that.
to do:
Oh
ride the
my God.
rails
Oh
and
my
ride the
God.
rods. Yep.
That's a shame.
And then he said, "You heard of the Chitlin circuit?" I said, "Sure." He goes, "That was good." He goes, "I had to work what was called the neck bone circuit." And I said, "What's that?" He goes, "After you had a couple drinks and something to eat, you owed the venue money. You had to pay
Oh
them
my.
for working there." And I said, "Wow." So
Wow.
that's how bad it was in Mississippi.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for telling me that.
My whole thing goes back to about 1974. I was a failed musician, and there were so many other better musicians, and I was not that self-disciplined. I had a really good job at a supermarket, and I was making buku bucks, driving a new car, new motorcycle, the whole bit. And
Oh,
I
you're a
just
biker.
yeah, well,
Is that a culture?
oh yeah.
Tell
But
me about it.
it
What's the
was not.
biker culture?
It was not mine. I didn't. Sir, I hit a patch of oil on I-75 and dumped the bike and skidded across the road into a ditch, and that was the end of my motorcycle experience.
Oh, okay.
I almost got run over by a semi.
Oh my gosh! So
Yeah.
it scared you straight, right? Back to
I
four
got
wheels.
on the bike and I rode. I was going up north to my grandparents' house, and I rode about 10 miles, and I pulled over and I stopped. I stared at that motorcycle for a while. I said, I don't want to die at the age of 22.
No,
I said, it's too dangerous. And I sold it right away.
it is. It is too. It's too dangerous to ride a motorcycle in Detroit because the roads are so bad.
Oh my God.
You can just lose. You can lose control on a pothole.
Leaves, pothole, gravel, anything.
Yeah, I don't like. It's one thing to ride out west, where the roads are
Sure,
flat and straight.
middle of nowhere.
Like in Utah, I was shocked. They have all that snow, their roads are perfect, like
Yeah,
this
yeah,
table.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, there's not even a little pebble of a bump.
That's right.
But you can't ride. I don't think very well in Michigan unless you're riding real slow, because you just can lose control so easily. The roads are atrocious, which we haven't fixed, of course, as you know. Now, recently, you're founder of the Detroit Blues Society, former president of the Detroit Blues Society. You've been involved with all of these initiatives. But recently you became involved with the Ralston Village. What's Ralston Village and what's your involvement?
About 5 years ago, when the Detroit Blues Society was putting on events here at the Stonehouse parking lot, we were putting outdoor events, I met David Spahn. David Spahn owns Stonehouse Bar. He owns the Ralston building. He owns a lot of real estate. And he saw something at the state fair. Excuse me. He saw something there that wasn't there yet. He saw an empty state fair, 146 acres, and he said, something's going to be built there. I want to be part of this. And he started buying up property in the village, and what we call the village now. And he said, this is what I want to do. This is my vision. And I said to him, I said, well, I just got back into Detroit and I got involved in the music industry in Detroit. I said, I'm getting older. I said, I would like to be part of this too. If this could be part of my legacy when I'm gone, that I had left a little mark on Detroit. And he said, come with us, be part of what we're doing. And I did. I rented a house off of him. I've been living there 6 years. And it was actually his idea. I had experience with 501c3 nonprofits through the blues societies I was involved in. And I said, we should start a 501c3. He was not familiar with the process at all. So
Most entrepreneurs are not.
we...
Excuse me, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Pardon me.
Bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, pardon me, Steve.
Go ahead.
That's when I start. I can't
I
stop.
know. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Maybe it'll slow. I took an allergy pill before I came here today, so I shouldn't be sneezing at all.
I
Go
can't
ahead.
sneeze one time either. I sneeze more than that.
But I took the pill. Go
Anyway,
ahead.
David, he invested some money in the area. He bought properties. He fixed them up. He rented them out. If he doesn't own the actual building, he owns the lot. So he can have. He told me about urban gardens before I even know what an urban garden was. And anyway, so I got involved with Dave, and we have a personal relationship now. I run the Ralston building for him as a volunteer, and it's time for this thing to pop. And so we started a 501c3. Then I met you.
Oh boy.
And I said, this is interesting. The lady's the police commissioner in District 2. And I said, she's got to know everybody. Then I found out through Roger and some other people of your involvement in Detroit politics. And I said, we'd be crazy not to ask her to be part of this. And then Callaway got elected. And she got a little soft spot for this part of town, too, because it's been so neglected. So, I mean, we kind of hit the mother load here because you can't just ignore this area anymore. They're giving money to Redford Theater area. They're giving money to Livernois Avenue. They're giving money to everything. But they haven't ever given any money here.
Correct.
And this is where Oakland County contractors come to dump their garbage.
Right.
And I can show you pictures right down the street. Every year it's the same thing.
The Oakland County contractors use Detroit as a dumping ground.
Yeah, and Macomb County too.
Yep. I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Not one bit. So you, Stephen Soviak, decided to do something about it and initiate something called Ralston Village.
The Ralston Village Community Association is what
And
we call
now
it.
it's taking off. It's now a legitimate 501c3.
Yep.
It has bank accounts. It can receive grants, which
Yes.
means you get a tax deduction
Yep.
for your grant. Any monetary contribution, write a check for $100. It's a tax deduction. You can list it on your taxes as a charitable contribution.
You know what else you can do? Since my whole involvement in this from the entertainment angle, because there was so much entertainment at the state fair.
Right.
In 1939, Benny Goodman appeared there. And
Oh, really?
every single year after that, there was no Cobo Hall. There was no place to display anything. If you wanted to put the new cars on display, you went to the state fairgrounds. If
Okay.
you wanted to have Autorama, you went to the state fairgrounds. If you wanted to have a huge concert, you went to the state fairgrounds. And every single year, and there's documentation, there's ads of who appeared and what year they appeared. And of course, it was only the 13 or 14 days during the Michigan State Fair that this happened. Usually, you could rent out the Coliseum for various things. But anyway, I'm trying to keep the entertainment legacy around. And the 501c3 is a perfect vehicle for musicians who are notoriously horrible businessmen. They're always in trouble with the IRS. And I try to explain to them, do a couple of benefits for a 501c3. They will give you a document for your taxes.
Right.
That if you charge $3,000 for a performance,
You can get a $3,000.
You get a $3,000
deduction.
in-kind donation. That's correct.
That's correct.
So I've turned a lot of musicians onto that. Their accountants would say to them, and they would tell me, "Where's this guy been? He should have been with him 30 years ago."
So the Village Association has taken off, but it stemmed from your love for entertainment, quite frankly, and your commitment to community.
Yeah, that was my initial involvement when I was with the Blues Society in 2017. We put a bunch of concerts on in this parking lot right across the street, which we don't call the parking lot anymore. We call it the Ralston Village Festival Site.
I like that.
Yeah, and sorry. Also, we did a couple of political events with the State Fair Coalition, Frank and Karen Hammer, over, and I believe they live in Green Acres, right across Woodward Avenue.
Right.
And I got on their steering committee. And the reason I got on their steering committee is I had the key to the conference room. So when they wanted to use the conference room, they said, "Why don't you sit in and join us?" And I said, "Okay." And I met some really cool people, a lot of lawyers, a lot of people that had done business with the city in the past, and you know, do you know Karen and Frank?
Karen and Frank.
Hammer.
No, I don't think I do, but I need to meet them. That's part of my district, obviously, and I need to know who they are.
Affectionately, I refer to them as some old hippies.
Oh, great.
And I said one time at a meeting, I said to the lawyer I met, his name was Al, I can't remember his last name, very cool guy. He says, I says, you know, if all this state fair business went away, it would only take them 2 days to find another thing for us to fight for.
Oh, boy.
And he agreed. He said, that's true.
Because they're such great advocates.
They're
for the people and for the community.
Yes, they want change. They wanted the state fair to be some futuristic city from like the Jetsons. They wanted solar panels and fishing, aquatic things where you could raise fish and raise food and raise everything. They wanted one of those 21st century communities. And they're not crazy about the Amazon factory. They don't think it pays enough. They don't think this. They don't think that.
I don't agree with that. I don't get involved in the business decisions.
Don't
of
work
the
for
industry.
them if you don't think.
Right.
they
If
pay
you don't
enough.
bite,
That's right.
my point exactly. It's a free country.
That's right.
Free will. Right.
That's right.
You don't. Nobody has a gun near their head saying go there to work. Right.
And I'll tell you one thing. I do some business with some folks at 10 Mile and Hilton, and their business is up for sale. And I said, "What? Why are you moving after all this time?" They said, "Amazon."
You mean the
bought
Hilton
it."
Hotel right there?
No. This is a lighting company at 10 Mile and Hilton.
Okay. Yeah, I know where that is. I know
It's
where Hilton
off
is.
of Hilton, actually,
Right,
on a
okay.
side street. And I said, "Why are you moving?" And they said, "Amazon bought everything." I said,
What do
"Really?"
you mean bought everything?
They're buying everything. They're buying all the commercial property everywhere.
Oh.
So, and I believe that area is Hazel Park.
Yeah.
I think it's Hazel
Yeah, it
Park.
is Hazel. It's a lot of empty land over there since they tore down the racetrack. But they're building something
There's
there.
an Amazon at the racetrack. It's
Yeah.
huge. I went
Yeah,
past
that's
it the other
that's
day.
the other Amazon, right?
So there's three. There's one where Silverdome used to be. There's one where the racetrack used to be. There's one here at State Fair. And they're putting one in Grand Rapids now.
Oh, okay. So we're on the state. Well, I'm glad that they're committed to the state of Michigan and that people have a place to work. And the reason that I like the Amazon here, right here, where we are here at Ralston Village, Steve, is because, and I was so happy about it being in District 2, because I represent District 2, but beyond that, there's an intersection there for people who don't know between Woodward and 8 Mile. People who don't have transportation can get there on the bus. Oh my God, I was so happy because that means because you can always get to Woodward from every place in the city,
Sure.
and you can
Crossroads.
always get to 8 Mile from any place in the region. So it really, really to me makes sense, and as formerly heading legal services, I always located our satellite offices where there were bus stops, because low income people don't use public transportation. Low income people can't get around like people with cars. So I was really happy about that because I thought it would do something for jobs.
Every time I
For
went
low-income
downtown, it cost me a fortune for parking.
Oh, it's
and-
$25.
I hit the fast bus, and because I'm a senior, it cost me $1.
That's correct.
I went to the county building, did my business, got back on the fast bus, cost me another $1.
Correct.
Came back, had to walk across Woodward Avenue to
Right.
get back to my house, and I was home in 1 hour and 15 minutes. Now, if I
Right.
had to drive my car down there, I would have paid $15 to park. If
Oh,
I
more
could
than
have
that.
Found
It's
parking.
at least $20.
Yeah,
Now it's $20 now.
And,
Easy.
Anyway,
25
it
maybe.
took me 3 hours. I was from Woodward and State Fair to downtown in 17 minutes.
You go, boy.
Yeah, it was
So
great.
that's the benefit of being in Detroit, ladies and gentlemen.
Sure.
Our fast bus,
Yeah.
the new facilities that we've got. If you don't have a lot of income, or if you want more income, come over and get hired by Amazon, which is something that has become a household word for all of us.
And don't forget, we're not even talking about the Magic Johnson 14 acres that's
Right.
coming.
Right.
You know, right?
Yeah, the Magic Johnson's
Yeah.
supposed to be doing a senior complex there. I
Well,
believe.
high-end restaurants and entertainment venues is
Yeah.
what I heard.
Oh, okay.
But
Well,
I don't know.
well, I hope so. He's somebody I know. He's a friend of mine.
Is
So
that right?
He's and a really good friend of my brother's too. So yeah, he
Fantastic.
had his birthday party last year for a whole week
Oh, really?
in Cannes, France. So yeah,
Wow.
right on the French
That'd be
Riviera.
cool. That'd be
So
cool.
yeah, that was kind of cool. But he deserves it. But I think that they're trying to get me to once again announce the fact that you are watching Linda Chop It Up with Linda. Attorney Linda
Can you
Bernard
show the logo?
on WJZZ, and that is the logo for the Ralston Community up that way. That's your okay. Ralston Community Association. That's the logo, ladies and gentlemen. That was created by Steve Soviak and by the rest of the board, and we're very proud of that initiative, and we're proud of his involvement and his history in music,
If you want to
business,
contact us,
and life.
you can do that at ralstondetroit@gmail.com.
RalstonDetroit@gmail.com.
That's correct.
So
Website's being built as we speak.
okay. So I want to thank you, Steve. You have
Thank
been
you.
a delightful guest. I've learned so much about the mafia, the four families of California, and I mean, so many things about certainly the blues, certainly, your interaction with people in the blues community, your help in that regard for them, and most importantly, I did not know it could be 33 degrees below